I have a question for you.
What's your question?
If I was an animal, what animal would I be?
Is this because of the mood boards we've been making?
Oh.
This is on your mind?
Yes.
What's your Patronus?
An otter.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
What's your
I think
Patronus?
mine's a dog or something.
You don't know?
No.
Pause the podcast. We got to go on Pottermore.
I think that you are... What do you think you are?
A bird.
Which one?
A sexy one. Would that make me a penguin?
Do you think penguins are sexy?
Who doesn't? Okay, what dog do you think you are? Oh, I think you're a dog.
Thanks. I think I am
Freudian
too.
slip. You're like a little golden retriever.
I'm not going to do that.
Oh no, oh no, oh
okay.
no, oh no.
Listen, I want to thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to thank you for prying yourself away from Baldur's Gate 3 and long enough to record the podcast today.
It was hard, but I'm here.
Great.
And right after this, you know what I'm going back to?
You're going to play...
Baldur's Gate 3. I'm on Act 3 for anyone who's interested. It's really cool.
Game of the year.
Game of the year.
I think it's going to be Game of the year. It's either that or Zelda.
We call it now. We're making a bet with our audience
And Jeff Keighley.
and Jeff Keighley. If Baldur's Gate 3 is Game of the Year, then you owe us $100,000.
Is that to Jeff Keighley?
Everyone, actually.
That's a lot of money.
To our 4 listeners. Because $400,000 is a lot.
Oh, man. It is.
Welcome to Gallery.
I feel like we have this little mental thing going where we both like look at each other after like we start the episode and we're like, okay, now it's time to roll the intro.
Because we're in love.
Yeah.
Why'd you say it like that?
I said yeah.
Say it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen that video of the kid who's like, have you seen that vine of the kid who's like hitting a basketball with his head and he's like, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's so funny. So that just made me think of that.
That is funny. Okay. What?
I'm really eager to hear what you're talking about. It feels like it's been forever since we've filmed.
Me when I'm eager. Idiot. All right, let me start.
Yeah, what are you talking about
Oh,
first?
guess.
I know it's a book, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Is this one that I've read? That's a dumb question.
It's literature.
It's literature.
And I doubt you've read it, but I think you know the story.
So is it like a classic or is it like, oh, it's a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Dracula?
No.
I got spooky stuff on
You
the
got
brain.
the Halloween brain.
Yeah. A classic. Little Women?
No.
Oh
Let's see how many classics you know.
no. Is it Huckleberry Finn?
No.
Moby Dick?
No.
The Road?
Oh, no.
We already talked about The Road. The Road is like the book that comes with. What is it?
Yeah. It's Metamorphoses by Ovid.
I don't know what that is.
Idiot,
Okay,
stupid
cool,
boy,
cool,
never
though.
went to
No,
English
no.
class.
I did go to English class.
Okay, you do know what it is because within Metamorphoses is the tale of Orpheus and Eurydice.
Yeah, I know that story, but why don't you tell the audience members because they don't know.
Do you not know that?
I've heard that.
Looks like somebody didn't read Percy Jackson. Actually, I don't even know if that story's in Percy Jackson. It's an old. It's technically Greek and Roman. Ovid is Roman, but it's
the line
an old
between
Greek myth.
Greek and Roman is so blurry
A little hazy.
because if it's Greek, it's probably Roman too. Honestly.
Okay, let me tell you the story.
All right.
Let me set the scene for you, non-believer.
So this is like a myth.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like a short story type of deal.
It's a myth, and you know how some people were like, oh, these people were definitely real, like Jason and the Argonauts and the Golden Fleece and everything like that. Well, it was said that Orpheus joined Jason and the Argonauts, those quests, like big famous quests like that, but those texts don't mention Orpheus. And so Aristotle himself said that Orpheus didn't exist.
Oh.
So he may be a myth, he may not.
Interesting.
But it is a myth. It's
very cool.
Yeah.
So I'm so sorry I keep interrupting you,
you're
but
good.
I have so many questions about what this is.
Because you don't know what it is.
Because I don't know what it is, but So this is ancient Greek type of stuff. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I just had to make sure.
Yeah. It is. I think it's a story that's been retold in a lot of different ways and with a lot of different people. It's had a bajillion adaptations.
Adaptions?
Sorry,
Who's the idiot now?
Me. It's had a million adaptations. It's in stuff that you know all about. Like Hosier has a song that mentions the two.
Hang on. We've been on a Hosier kick lately because Hosier's awesome.
I've been on a Hosier kick my whole life.
You have been on a Hosier kick your whole life.
But his song talks about Orpheus and Eurydice.
That's not in the most recent album. Hmm.
And the game Hades.
Oh, no.
What?
I was going to get excited about Hades, but Hades is one that I haven't tried yet.
Embarrassing.
Which is so embarrassing, but whatever.
There's a part in Hades where you can put Orpheus and Eurydice together. There's a quest to put them together or whatever.
So
here's the story.
Tell me the story. I'm so ready to hear it.
So Orpheus is he plays the lute and he's very, very good at it. They say that his dad was Apollo, the god of music and stuff.
Yeah.
And his mom was that girl whose name I don't remember. And anyway, he came from divine lineage, and he was just really, really good at playing the flute. Like, he was amazing. He was like the Taylor Swift of Greek.
The lute or the flute? Because those are two different
the
instruments.
lute.
Lute. Okay, you said flute.
Or was it the lyre? I think it was the lyre, actually.
If you don't know what we're talking about, a lute is like Greek ancient guitar. And seriously, and a lyre is a Greek ancient, well, I guess that's not Greek, but it's an ancient harp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was the lyre.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter.
He played an instrument.
He could have been playing the banjo. Could you imagine?
He plays the harmonica.
My name's Orpheus.
Orpheus on his harmonica. And so they say he was so good that everybody would like come around him and they'd like listen to him and stuff. And even the trees and the rocks would like move and sway as he played. He was really, really good. And he was in love with this girl named Eurydice. And she was really beautiful or whatever.
They always are.
Yeah. And I should first put out that there's a lot of versions of this story. Like, there's a lot of different ways that it happens. And so I'm going to kind of talk about all of them, but I'm mostly following, for those of you who are really into this stuff, I'm mostly following Ovid's tale.
Okay.
But either they were married or it was on their wedding day and stuff. They were just so in love. I'm going to go with the version that they were married. Right. They were so in love. And one day they were just recently married. One day Eurydice is dancing with her nymph friends and she steps into a snake pit. Snake bites her. She immediately dies.
Oh my gosh.
Like, she dies so fast.
Dang, dude.
And then Orpheus, this is very tragic. Orpheus was so in love with her that he just like loses all will to live. Like,
oh man.
He just gets so emo over this. And he sings such a sad love song that the gods are like, you gotta go get her, girl. And so he's like, okay, I'll go get her. And so he goes to the underworld. And I don't know how much you know about Greek legends. Like, do you know about Cerberus and Charon? Stuff like that.
Learn about it in our history.
So Cerberus, he gets to the gates of the underworld. Cerberus, this 3-headed dog, he plays his little flute for his lute, lyre, his instrument.
His banjo.
He plays the harmonica for him. And Cerberus just lays down his heads and let him in because it was such a beautiful song. And he gets to the Charon, and Charon just gives him a lift through the Styx because his song was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And finally he gets to Hades and Persephone, and he's like, hey, I would really like my wife back, and I'll do anything for it. And if you don't give her back to me, then I'll stay here because I just don't want to live without her. And he plays them such a heartbreaking, sad song that they say all of the torture in Hades stopped. Like Sisyphus,
dude.
You know the meme that's happening? Sisyphus with the boulder?
The guy with the boulder?
He stopped rolling it and he sat on it. And like Tantalus, do you know that guy? He was a guy who was cursed to always be really, really hungry and really, really thirsty and sit in a pool of water with fruit hanging over him.
And
he stopped reaching for the fruit, kind of thing. Wow. And the Furies like all wept tears for the first time and stuff. Like, it was that beautiful of a song. And so Hades and Persephone were like, dang, all right, you can have her on one condition. You are allowed to walk out with Eurydice, but she has to follow behind you and you can't turn back to look at her
What?
until you get out of the underworld.
That's so... Okay, keep going. I'm so invested in this.
And he was like, great, I'm a patient man. I can totally do this. I just don't have to turn back and look at her. And so he starts up this like hill or journey or whatever to the end of the underworld to get out. And there are 3 ways that this happens, but it all ends in the same way. Orpheus turns to look at Eurydice, and he sees her fall back into Hades, or back into the underworld, and loses her forever.
Oh my gosh.
And so these are the 3 ways that it happens. The first, Eurydice trips, and he turns to help her because he loves her.
Mm-hmm.
The second, he can't hear her footsteps, and he gets really worried that he might have left her behind or the gods have tricked him, and he turns to make sure that she's there. The third, he makes it out, and he's so excited, and he's so full of love that he turns around to like greet her and to tell her that he loves her, but she hadn't made it out yet, and they both had to have made it out. And so she goes back in. Yeah. And that's like the main bit of the story. The rest of it is that he goes back into the world alone, and he not only had to see his bride die once, but twice because of his folly.
Yeah.
And he swears off women forever. He sings such sad love songs that they say he invented the love poem.
Whoa.
And then beasts tear him apart.
What?
Or in another version.
Wait a second.
Oh, wait. Or in another. Well, he basically sings songs of, please, I want to die so bad, to go back to Eurydice. That the beasts are like, okay. Yeah, I'll do it. Or in another version, the female followers of Dionysus are kind of mad that he won't be with any women, so they tear him apart.
Oh, man. Greece myths.
This is the story. And let's hear your thoughts on it first.
To me, there's especially with the ending, there's hints of like trust.
Mm-hmm.
And following through on things, even if you love someone.
Mm-hmm. So, this is considered a Greek tragedy.
Yeah.
But there's something very interesting about this story that I feel draws me and so many other people back to this story and makes it so much more romantic, other than like any other Greek tragedy, is this idea that Orpheus didn't fall because of human frailty, because of his own weaknesses, because of pride or, hubris,
yeah.
all of that and stuff. He didn't fall because of that. The reason that he fell was because he loved her so much, because it was true love. And so there's even a quote, my favorite quote ever from this. It says, at the very end, as Eurydice disappears back into the underworld, it says, Eurydice, dying now a second time, uttered no complaint against her husband. What was there to complain of but that she had been loved?
Say it again.
Eurydice, dying now a second time, uttered no complaint against her husband. What was there to complain of but that she had been loved?
Wow. Sorry, I had you read it again because...
It's beautiful.
That's... Wow.
Exactly. And so... The main folly of Orpheus, if this even can be considered a folly, is that he loved Eurydice so much that he needed to see her, that he needed to help her, even if that happened, even if that led to some tragedy,
Wow. Man, I appreciate your insights and your mind on these things so much. Just, I'm trying to think of like how it applies in like real life. I don't know. Loving someone too much that they quote unquote like die. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
I have a lot to say on this topic.
Because I don't have much right now. I don't have much to add.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of in admiration of this story.
I know. Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
I think my favorite part is that a lot of people would say, well, some people in the stories, like even like the gods in the story ridicule him because he's so weak, because he wasn't willing to die for Eurydice or something like that.
Oh.
And I feel that he was, because in the story he says, I'll stay here if you don't give me Eurydice's spirit,
Yeah.
But it's this idea not of dying for someone that you love, but of loving them being in every single action and every single like subconscious thought that you have.
Mm.
And so I feel like in the end of the story, we see that Orpheus doesn't, like, he isn't obsessed with her. He isn't like interested in her beauty and everything. He's so worried about her well-being. And like, it's not even a selfish love of like him wanting her to be with him. He plainly wants to see if she's okay. That's how much he loves her.
It feels like Orpheus's love has kind of become a sixth sense.
Yeah. It's a part of him.
It's a part of him. And, you know, that kind of becomes her downfall. You know, even though he knows that, like, oh, if I look back or if my concern for her gets too great and I look back, you know, that's against what the gods are saying. But in spite of that, it's so natural to him that he almost can't control himself. And I think, man, that's, wow. I'm just, sorry, what I'm saying is kind of incoherent just because I'm so blown away of this idea of just like this foundational love and, I don't know, just instinctual love is what I should say. So sorry, that was a bit of jumbled, but I think this is just so beautiful.
It's beautiful. And it's difficult to talk about something like this because it's so well put.
Yeah.
And it's so simple almost. Like, I feel like preparing for this, I had a lot of, like, a big struggle trying to come up with, like, really what to say about it or, like, how to express how I feel about it. Because it's hard. Like, how do you talk about truest love, you know?
Yeah. And I'm the same way where I'm trying to draw parallels to, like, real life and modern day. And, like, I'm like, what does the stipulation that Hades gives Orpheus really mean? And I don't think, and I think, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think I'm just
analyzing.
Yeah. I'm trying to overanalyze. And I think that is just not what is needed here. And I think that you just kind of need to step back and just say, you know, what did Orpheus do? What did he not do? And what does that mean? Like, what's the principle? Not of like everything in the story, but like of this one action. I don't know. I'm kind of just in this I'm kind of in this tizzy because
you've got to go like stare at a wall for a while.
I know. I just have so many thoughts that I can't articulate them.
Have you never heard this before?
No, dude, I'm stupid.
Oh.
No, don't accept that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right. Frick.
Oh, man. But here, listen, this might just add something else for you to think about while you stare at the wall.
Is this Hosier lyrics?
Yeah.
I knew it. It's because I asked you about Hosier lyrics earlier today.
I love Hosier. And so this is just one adaptation that I kind of maybe thought I'd bring up, but I think it's so beautiful. I have to bring it up. The point of the song Talk by Hosier is that the verses are him speaking in this beautiful, like, love poetry, like, and talking about Orpheus and Eurydice and how he'll love the person that he's singing to, just like that. And then the chorus is like, I'm only talking all refined because I'm trying to seduce you. I'm trying to sweet talk you and stuff. And so it doesn't mean much more than that. And so that adds a deeper level to kind of what he says here. But here's the first verse.
Okay.
He says, I'd be the voice that urged Orpheus when her body was found. Okay.
Ooh.
To madness, to go underground, to go
everything. Back and get her,
okay. You get it.
Okay.
The second line, I'd be the choiceless hope in grief that drove him underground. I really like that, choiceless hope in grief. Because I feel like in grief, you always hope that there's going to be something different.
Yeah.
And you can't choose.
Like, what are you going to do? Yeah.
I'd be the dreadful need in the devotee that made him turn around.
Dang.
And I'd be the immediate forgiveness in Eurydice. Imagine being loved by me.
Dang.
I know. Hosier.
Those are beautiful lyrics.
I know. Bro's staring at the wall.
Man, this is just like, I think this is the topic that you've shared so far that's making me levitate the most. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like,
that's what Hosier music does. If you turn on like Son of Nyx, you just like start like lifting.
Love is so deep and, man, I don't know. I don't really have anything intelligent to say, but
love is so deep. McKay, 2023.
I just love what you're saying.
Well, I feel in summary, el final. Okay, all right. I feel this way about you.
Oh, I feel this way about you.
Let's make out.
No.
Sorry, was that?
Never mind.
Never mind what?
Frick.
Anyway, that's one of my favorite Greek myths. I love Percy Jackson. Amen.
Amen. That was great. That was great. Oh man, the pull of love, the unconditional, foundational, instinctual love. You know, that's to me what love is. That's what I kind of say to you when I'm like, unconditional love is a stupid phrase because love is inherently unconditional. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It should just be this foundational thing that is ever present for somebody else. You know, it's not like deposits in a bank account. You know, well, I love you, here's a check here, or I'm sorry, the reverse where it's like, you love me, that's a check in the love bank account, and I can give you more love because of what you're doing. That's not what it should be. It should be always there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I feel like that's something that it develops.
Mm-hmm.
Like deep within a person over time. Wow, man, I feel deliriously uplifted by that.
Yeah.
And
even though it's a tragedy, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just that little ending is just so profound.
In the end, are they not reunited?
Dude.
You just you pass away right there.
And that's gonna need an hour break.
Let's put on the screensaver.
Yeah. Anyway, by now you're probably wondering, why do they have a little Super Mario Brothers Wonder poster instead of the Starry Night? We threw away the Starry Night poster because it was grubby, and I got that for ordering the game on Best Buy.
That was the biggest tonal shift of my life.
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking about the whole time I talked about Orpheus
the
and
entire
Eurydice?
time? No.
You're like, look at that little
I'm
poster.
like, look at Yoshi on there.
All right, tell me. Your thing is going to be like, it's the cover art of Mario Wonder.
It's the cover art of Mario Wonder. It's right here. No. Great game, by the way. Probably one of the best of this year.
No.
I'm not having this discussion with you.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah. So.
Wait, let me guess.
Yeah, I was gonna have a guess.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
A book.
You did a book.
Oh. Well.
I didn't bring anything.
You're like, I'm just sitting here today.
No.
Oh, it's visual art.
It is visual art.
What kind of visual art?
I'm going to talk about a specific piece. It's illustration.
Illustration.
I'm going to talk about a specific piece, but I kind of want to just touch on this artist and kind of what they mean to me.
Van Gogh.
Not Van Gogh.
Leonardo da Vinci.
If I was talking about Van Gogh, we'd be here a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But this artist, I just can't stop thinking about lately. And
Banksy.
I love Banksy, man, but it's not Banksy.
Okay, I'll stop interrupting. You do think.
No, it's okay. I love when you guess.
Aw.
It is her name.
A girl.
A girl.
Well, I'm listening.
It is, I don't know, you might recognize the name, Eliza Ivanova.
No, I don't know who the frick that is.
I haven't talked to you about Eliza Ivanova yet.
Eliza.
So she.
Elizabeth.
Yeah. I don't know if that's her full name.
Was it a liar?
Shut up. Eliza Ivanova is a Bulgarian artist. She's still alive. She's still making art. She used to work at DreamWorks. She used to work at... She used to work at DreamWorks as a character designer, and I think she's currently at Pixar as an animator, but don't quote me on that.
I'm going to quote you on that. She's currently at Pixar as an animator.
No, I didn't say that.
In quotation marks, McKay 2023.
But she is I think like right now she's like my favorite artist right now. Like I have my all-time list, but like for what I've been doing lately with my own art and like just kind of what me and my like art friends have been talking about, Eliza Ivanova is just amazing.
What's she do?
So let me show you. So she has just a really amazing art style. So this is one of her pieces. So she does graphite illustration, which is just pencil.
Okay.
Yeah. And she is an illustrator, so that's kind of what you can expect from her work. Graphite pencil illustrations. So what we're looking at right now is a woman in a fetal position, and there's like dots everywhere. There's like balls everywhere that are
She in the tennis ball factory.
yeah. And she
Is that not what she's in?
I don't think well, hey, art is subjective if that's what you
All right,
that's
all
what you
right,
think she's
all right,
in,
all
but
right, all right.
she I mean that's kind of the amazing thing about it is like you don't really it kind of lets your imagination run wild. So
They
she's
be
in a fetal
circles.
position, she's
Yeah.
surrounded by circles, and
And she's covered in circles. It
yeah,
looks
she's
like.
got circles on her. So what I love about Eliza Ivanova the most is she has a real like mysticalness about her art style. There's kind of this etherealness because there's parts that she's left out. She's got kind of these really detailed parts, and then there's parts with nothing and no detail right up next to each other. And it just kind of creates this really like whimsical kind of otherworldly look. It's not otherworldly, but like how would you describe it? Because I'm having trouble putting my finger on it.
I'm sorry. The only thing I can think of is she left out the feet, and I think that's funny.
Well, she did leave out the feet, and that's like another big part of her art style is she leaves things out.
Yeah, just what you're saying. I would describe it as like when you take a photo with the iPhone and then you put it on like the Illustrate feature. Or no,
Interesting.
that like filter in like Instagram or whatever it is.
Interesting.
Or it's like a photo, but it's turned into like a pencil drawing.
Yeah.
And then I feel like these bubbles, at least for me, as someone who's like trained to work with cameras, it just looks like the lights when they get out of focus.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't think about it like that. This is why I asked you, because you just have such a beautiful eye.
Yeah.
So really cool stuff. And then this is another one.
Oh, wow.
She has that geometric shape in the back that I really like.
Mm-hmm. She's got some color in here too.
She does have some color.
Is it colored pencil that she works with then?
I think so. This is another colored one. I think this one is marker though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man. We picked some pretty incomprehensible topics today.
No, really.
Because I just don't know how to describe her.
It's got the grungy colors of steampunk.
Grungy
almost.
colors of steampunk, but it's got an elegance to it.
Yeah. You can tell that she knows how to hold a pencil. Like
Yeah.
she knows how to work with lines.
When you watch her on Instagram, her process is she starts laying lines down. No sketches.
Whoa.
No mapping out, no thumbnails, no nothing.
Whoa.
She just draws all these, and
Mommy.
they're so beautiful.
How old is she?
She's young. I think she's in her either late 20s or early 30s.
Sister.
But I don't know. Sister.
Not mommy.
But anyway, so in order to really get what I'm talking about,
Oh.
yeah, isn't that cool?
Okay, I see.
You just gotta look. She leaves things out of the drawing. She will like make things really muddy, but it totally works. And if you're wondering how she got that like kind of airbrushy look, she's using a tool called a blending stump. You've seen me use a blending stump before, right?
Is it the rag?
No, that's a chamois.
Chamois.
It's a funny name.
A blending stump?
I'm wondering if I should go get mine, but
Does it look like a beauty blender?
no, it's not like a brush at all.
No, a beauty blender for like makeup.
Oh, like that spongy thing?
The egg.
No, it doesn't look like that. It's like rolled up piece of paper.
Oh,
like super
I
tight.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so what that does is if you use that over a really dark area where there's a lot of pencil, that you kind of lift some of that pencil off, and then it's kind of looks like you like draw on smudges with a blending stump.
Whoa.
You can like draw this like really airbrushy thing, and so she does that all the time.
I feel like it's like, what am I saying? Her style seems like it's realistic enough to like hold your attention to make you understand that this is a thing
Yeah.
and everything like that. But it's like stylized enough to be really, really interesting to look at.
Totally. Oh my gosh, that was so well said. You just summed it up perfectly, better than I could.
Thank you.
Like she's got this face that you can tell is just this beautifully rendered face, but like she left out half the nose.
Half her hair's in there.
And half her hair is gone. But like you can still see the back of her head. You know what I mean? It's implied.
Yeah. It reminds me kind of Impressionism.
Mm-hmm.
And that
I had
kind
the
of
same
thing.
thoughts.
Yeah, because I feel like with like cameras and stuff, when you see a face and you see the way the light hits them, there are portions of their face that disappear or portions of their face that are like emphasized.
Yeah.
Like what for us right now, the light is emphasizing dark circles and stuff because we've got overhead lighting.
Yeah.
But like the way that she does this makes it seem like she knows how the light is hitting her subjects, even though I imagine she's not looking at a reference here.
I doubt it.
So
I don't think so.
That's lovely.
Yeah. And I love the way she leaves things out because you can just see everything, and yet there's only so little on the page. That's a cool one.
That's a cool one.
Yeah.
They're very moody.
They're very moody.
Like ethereal. They're definitely not like happy, joyous drawings.
Yeah. And she has a really good use of shape and line as well.
Yeah.
All these crazy lines, all these crazy shapes that look really cool. Like, look at that shape that's on the face.
Wow.
So cool. So interesting.
See, I haven't been that interested in like illustration work before in my life, and I've been able to appreciate the great paintings.
Yeah.
And I love, of course, like digital media and stuff like that. And so when I look at like a pencil drawing, I think in the past I would have seen something like this and been like, awesome, she got it in her school notebook or something like that. Or like the weird kid from art was doodling again. It's really good, but it's a doodle. But I feel like from seeing you draw and from like learning more about the process that goes behind character design and goes into like illustrating animated features and stuff like that, I feel so much more appreciative of the level of art and expertise and just pure talent that has to go into something like this to make it look like that.
Yeah.
Because any untrained eye would see, oh, it's a woman with like 4 heads around, they're holding a crystal ball, it's a witch.
Yeah.
But any other person would be, or any person trained in this would be like, wow, look at these lines on the face, look at the way that it draws your eye towards their faces, towards these hands.
Totally.
Like it's really, really well done.
I am really glad that you mentioned that, because that's a great segue into what I kind of want to end with. Is I think in the art world, I think the general public and even like artists in general, and it doesn't matter what art you're doing, I think artists who are trying to get better, who are trying to improve their skill, I think, and this honestly, this just applies to everybody. I think we have a tendency to kind of focus on, is it realistic? Is it perfect? Does it look like this one? Comparing things. And we have such a tendency to kind of just like focus on like what it's not looking like, and focus on, that it doesn't look perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I appreciate about Eliza Ivanova is her art isn't realistic or quote unquote perfect, or, what I should say is she leaves stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
Logically, you don't leave anything out of a drawing. You got to paint the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't. You have to, or not you have to, but Eliza leaves stuff out, and she puts things in that aren't there in real life, and she leaves things out completely, And so I think she really captures this attitude of, maybe it can look good without being logically by the books picture perfect. So what you kind of said with like, oh, I can see like the lines and stuff, like, no, it's not completely 100% accurate. This like, she's technically missing the back of her head. Technically, right?
It could look unfinished.
Yeah, but it doesn't, because she's using what she knows. She's using these techniques to make it look interesting. Not accurate or perfect, but interesting. And in that way, I just think it's so much more beautiful. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with like fully rendered stuff and like photorealistic stuff. Don't get me wrong with that. But I think what I'm trying to say is that like, it doesn't have to be perfect to be perfect.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like you could explain it better.
Hardly, but I think what it makes me think of, like in my own experience, I work with cameras.
Yeah.
And there's rules to working with cameras, and there's rules that you have to follow, like the rule of thirds and like, composition rules and stuff like that. And then you have artists like Wes Anderson who break the rule of thirds, literally the entire movie. Yeah, and just put everything in the middle of the frame.
Yeah.
And I feel like those are moments when art becomes different almost in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
And sometimes breaking conventions and breaking rules makes something really cool. And you know, I feel this even happened in like art history, like with like Renaissance paintings being so photorealistic, and then they turned to chiaroscuro, and chiaroscuro, I don't know how to say it.
Chiaroscuro, I believe, but
Whoa.
I don't care. Yeah.
Okay.
I was in the Renaissance.
Yeah, I play the lyre. But when those painters like added a little something, even though it wasn't like the norm, or when the Impressionists, of course, the Impressionists.
How have we not talked about Impressionism?
When they decided to go a totally different route, focusing on light, focusing on like the way things like felt almost rather than what they really looked like. And that brings me to a question. I feel like with art, we have had such clear phases, like the Renaissance, like Impressionism, Post-Impressionism, Modernism, Dadaism.
Yeah.
And I understand we're in a period of postmodernism.
Yeah.
But will it change from that? And if so, when? Because I feel like stuff like this is changing the norm and it's getting there and everything. But because postmodernism in art is changing the norm, will it ever progress from there?
That's difficult to say because we've kind of gotten to the point where artists always say that there's no new ideas. Like everything has been done.
Yeah.
And so now I think in terms of art, we're getting more into an age where commercial art and fan art are really starting to like get up there and reign supreme.
Ooh, the things I can say about participatory engagement.
Yeah, right?
Anyway.
But I think that illustrators like Eliza just go to show that like that art is so subjective. You know, there's still good and bad in my opinion, but art is so subjective, and when you really focus on what makes you great rather than what has to make you great, then that's where you really fly.
Ooh, like an individualist perspective.
Totally. I mean, what? Okay, let's go back to this one. Why does she need to be fully rendered? Why does the back of her hair need to be there? It doesn't. And Eliza is saying it doesn't. And it can still look good when I make the choices that I want to make for this drawing.
But does that make things too subjective? Could anyone be like, "Oh, it looks good because I think it looks good"?
That is the question.
That is the question.
That's this.
We can tape bananas to the wall these days.
I know, right? And it's just in the eye of the beholder. I think what I'm trying to say at the end of the day is that when we try to pin art down to one thing, it kind of defeats the purpose. That doesn't mean you can't have preferences. Because there's art that I really don't like. There's art that I really love. But when we try to pin it on, it should be this, or you should draw this way, I think that's where we kind of fail in judging quality. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't improve. That doesn't mean that there are objective principles that you shouldn't follow. But I do think it means that it is an individual thing. And, you know, don't get discouraged when your art doesn't look like a photo or when it doesn't look like another artist.
Yeah, that was beautifully said.
Thank you.
I think you do a good job, too, in your own art.
Oh, thank you.
But I think it's interesting with that kind of, like, discussion on subjectivity. Oh, I feel like what I get from this, really, is that you can still see, like, masterclass, like,
totally
masterworks in people's art. And I feel like you see that here with Eliza. You can see that she knows what she's doing. And this isn't just scribbling. This isn't just doodling. It's an artist fully formed and creating something that isn't kosher. I guess it's not. I mean, it is kosher, but it's not as common.
Yeah.
In a way that brings forth its beauty. And I think that's really great.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing everything that you shared.
We're so funny because half of our podcasts are the silliest, goofiest things known to man, as half of our podcasts are like, oh, yes, indeed.
Yes.
How's your said?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, man, I think we picked some complex things to talk about.
We did.
And I feel like I kind of danced around what I really wanted to say and didn't really pin it down.
What do you really want to say?
I don't know.
Go stare at the wall for a while.
Okay, yeah. But I don't know. If I had to like summarize this episode, it would be learn to play the lyre. No, I was kidding.
That was a Camille end statement.
That was a Camille end statement.
Okay, I'll do a McKay end statement. If I had to summarize this episode, it would be that true love exists, and the tragedies and the stories and the romances that are out there are such beautiful ways to express like real emotion.
Totally.
And sometimes it is difficult to talk about because these things are potent. They're incomprehensible, like you were saying, but it's something that we collectively feel. That's why we know about Odysseus,
Orpheus.
Wrong one, Orpheus. That's why we know about Eliza here, is because people have felt this art before and they're continuing to feel it, and we feel it. I feel that art is such a harmonizing thing for different people, and these artists both do the same thing. So
that was beautifully said. That was
my
great
McKay
ending.
statement.
I'll see.
Now can we make out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.